Hello, I'm Ali, and in this video I'm going to be talking about random little things which have really improved my life. I don't really know what else to say apart from that, so we'll get straight in. The first thing was like an aeroplane mode challenge. So when I get up in the morning, most of the time I'd immediately take my phone off aeroplane mode and I'd scroll through all of my notifications, catch up on all of those messages. But I've realised that when I start looking through my notifications and replying to my messages, I end up just being on my phone for a very long time because then people start replying and then I get more notifications. I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but you can only lock your phone once you've completed all of your notifications, like once you've seen all of them, once you've replied to all of your messages. It gets to a point where if I'm doing this the second I wake up in the morning, I'll be on my phone for ages. Keeping your phone on airplane mode in the mornings for as long as possible, for me, it's really helped me actually get things done. Yesterday, I got up, had a shower, went to Sainsbury's, came home, and after I unpacked everything and made myself breakfast, then after breakfast I then went on my phone. I'd already completed one of my tasks for the day. I hadn't procrastinated that task. So by keeping my phone on airplane mode for as long as I wanted to, for as long as I could, then I actually was more productive. Now, another thing which has really improved my life is having half a portion of your food at a time. I don't really know why I started. I think it's because I probably cooked myself a meal which I really enjoy and I wanted to savour all of it. So I made the whole portion and then I only served myself half of it. I ate that. Then I realised that because there was no more food on my plate at the end, my body was like, oh, you're full now. So I was like, well, that's a bit weird because I've only had half a portion. So then I carried on with the rest of like my day, like I washed up and stuff. And then when I got hungry about an hour later, I then had the rest of the portion. So having a second dinner, like I really enjoyed it. About an hour later I had my pudding. I realised that by spreading this out, I wasn't eating all of my portion at once, getting really full really quickly and then feeling too sluggish and too tired to then carry on with my day. I was full, but I wasn't so full that I was feeling tired. I was feeling full enough to be able to do another, like one of my goals. And then after I'd completed that, then I had my favourite food again, but it was still half a portion. And this leads on to my next point, my third point, which is not going on my phone whilst eating. I've realised that, I don't know if it's a natural psychology thing, but I've realised that when I go on my phone whilst eating, I get hungry quicker. So after I've finished eating and I'm still on my phone, it's almost like I haven't registered that I've eaten any food. So my body's like, you're still hungry. And then I'm going to carry on snacking throughout the day, and snacking, for me, it just like distracts me from doing my daily goals because all those notifications on your phone are still going to be there after your meal. So you might as well stretch everything out. My fourth point is listening to podcasts. This leads on quite nicely from my last video, which is knowing the difference between loving yourself and loving your image. It was part of a self-love challenge that I found on Pinterest. One podcast every day was the challenge, but I don't do that. I just sort of listen to podcasts just sort of whenever. Sometimes it's nice to listen to a podcast rather than music if you're walking to and from the shop, especially when washing up. I love listening to podcasts whilst I'm washing up. Sometimes when I'm eating, but I try and eat like with nothing going on around me. I recommended Master Self-Love in my last video and I'm going to recommend it again. They just really help me, and sometimes it's just a lot nicer to learn something than just listen to music. My fifth point is planning tomorrow's goals the night before. I call them goals because if I call them tasks, it makes me feel like, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. But having daily goals, it's like I choose to do them. I want to do them to make me feel good. I like being productive. I'm not like any of those study tubers. I could never be the level of productive that study tubers are, and I'm never planning on it. Like, getting up at 5 a.m. and then just doing my work, it's not gonna happen. My second goal today is to do one of my lecture notes, and because it's now online, then I can take as long as I want with that, but I'm not gonna like take the mick. Like, I want to get it done, because then my third goal is to embroider or to edit one of my YouTube videos, and I want to do that, but I can't go on to my third goal if I haven't finished my second goal. When I'm doing my second goal, I'm not going to make it unrealistic. I'm not going to say to myself, I've got to get all of these notes done before I eat lunch, and then after lunch I can embroider, because then I'm going to be making crap notes if I'm hungry, but I'm not allowed to eat lunch until I finish my notes. Only you know what works for you. There's no point scheduling breaks if you're in the flow. A video I really like is by Ruby Granger. I'll put a link in the description actually. It's the difference between productive breaks and conventional breaks. And her sort of talking about that has really helped me set my daily goals and decide what I'm going to do in each of my breaks. I decide to plan the night before, because then when my alarm goes off in the morning or when I wake up in the morning, I already know what I want to do that day, so I'm more inclined to get out of bed. And because I'm not going on my phone like straight away in the morning, then I'm going to get out of bed quicker and then do my goals quicker. And then once I've done all of my goals, I'm just going to feel accomplished. It's just a nice feeling to like feel. My sixth goal is to tell myself to get like something done before I move on to the next point. So this is kind of coming on from my last point. For example, I can't embroider today until I've done my lecture notes. For some people, working for 1 or 2 hours straight is possible, and then they can move on to their next thing. Personally, for me, I'm very slow at writing lecture notes. I'm very slow at just doing my work in general. I don't really know why, I always have. For me, it's realistic to be able to do that set of lecture notes before I move on to my next goal. If I realise that it's not realistic, then I control my life, especially now in isolation. So if I realise that it's not realistic to get all of my lecture notes done before I can move on to my next goal, and if I realise I need a break, like I really need a productive break between starting and finishing my lecture notes, then that's fine. I can change my daily goals throughout the day. If there are some tasks that you need to do which you don't want to do, doing like each task that you don't really want to do in between goals that you do want to do, it means that each time you're doing a task, once you've completed that, you can move on to something that you do really enjoy, and the only reason you're doing that task is because you simply just have to. My seventh point is the most important, and it's having a hobby. If I didn't have a hobby, if I didn't have my passion for embroidery, then I wouldn't be where I am today. Like, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. Some people would hate the idea of doing embroidery, but like love doing 3 different sports. I can't relate. So you just have to find some sort of hobby, and if you're struggling for ideas, then there are so many give it a go things, especially at university, and the leisure centres near you are probably doing like so many different classes. And if you just Google like what's going on near me, then so many things will come up on Google, and you and your friends could just go and try something new, and before you know it, you might develop a hobby that you really enjoy. Now, the 8th point and my last point, this is also really important, and it's something that's definitely improved my life, and it's recognising when I'm not actually hungry and when I'm actually bored. And recognising that and actually letting yourself think, you know what, I'm not hungry, I am just bored. Then doing something about your boredom, for example, doing one of the tasks that you've been putting off, or doing your hobby for a bit, it will free your boredom, hopefully. I know it's so much easier said than done. It's like you train yourself to feel hungry more often. So they're all of my points, all of my 8 points, and I'll list them in the description below, as well as a link to Master Self-Love podcasts and a link to Ruby Granger's video on productive and conventional breaks, because both of those things have really helped and improved my life. I hope you've learned something from this, and if you have like points that I haven't mentioned which have helped improve your life, then definitely comment them. They'll help me and other people. And yeah, I hope you have a really good week. Stay safe.